Hey guys, welcome back to the Franchise Tagged Podcast, episode 2. Whoop whoop. First week of NFL action is down. Elijah, if you want to run them through our itinerary for the day, and then we'll get into some of the things on that itinerary.
Yep. So first off, we're gonna kick off with the Pick'ems recap. So we're gonna go ahead and go over our picks for the week that has already been happened and see where we're sitting for our records and our locks of the week, how those panned out, and then we're gonna actually kind of get into some recaps game by game, going over some of the big news storylines that are popping up and into some of those new players that we're seeing and how they're performing on new teams. And then we're kind of going to go through a quick little look at our year long predictions, a little overreaction to how those are lining up after just 1 week. And then we're going to go over, some overreactions that we're seeing from across the league, across the internet about the games that have been played. And then we're going to preview the week 2 games and get into our picks. Check out the Spotify if you want to listen on audio platforms for the podcast. And besides that, I think we can jump right into our Pick'ems recap.
Yeah, so I got off to a real slow start, which I think happened a lot last season too during pick'ems. For whatever reason, I would just suck at the noon slate, and then 3 o'clock would roll around, and I'd just go like six straight. And I did that again here. So I missed the first four. I got Bears over Titans correct. That was not a pretty game. We'll get into that. And then I got Texans over Colts, another really close one. Dolphins over Jags, another really close one. I unfortunately believed in the Panthers. And then from
Shocker.
Vikings and Giants onward, I got all of them right. I got Vikings, Chargers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Bucks, Lions, and 49ers to make my record for the week 10-6. And then I did lock the Seahawks over the Broncos, which was correct, although not in the prettiest fashion. I will say that was also a semi close game, closer than I expected. And so my lock record is 1-0 at the moment.
Yep. So I picked the Chiefs to win on Thursday Night Football. So I started off with a correct hit, and then picking the Packers over the Eagles. That fell short, and sadly, my Falcons lock over the Steelers. The Falcons lost without the Steelers scoring a touchdown. More on that in a little bit. The Cardinals pick over the Bills didn't follow how I wanted it to. And then Bears over Titans. Again, he mentioned it, slog. Uh, Bengals over Patriots. Colts over Texans. Both missed. And then I got on a nice hot streak of Dolphins, Saints, Vikings, Chargers, Seahawks, Cowboys, Buccaneers, and Lions all in a row, all correct. And then fell short of finishing off with a super clean sweep of, afternoon to rest of the week, and I had picked the Jets over the Niners, and that fell short as well. So I'm also sitting at a 10-6 record. However, I did go 0-1 on my lock.
Yeah. Overall, not a bad first week. I do think, like we were talking about last week, the first week of pick'ems is the most difficult. We don't know what to expect from a lot of these teams, and I think going forward, it will be a little bit easier to predict. But I do think that week 2 comes with some question marks as well that have yet to be answered. If teams have not shown all they can show, or if teams are exactly what they look like coming out of week 1. So, do you want to kick us off into any of these topics for the day?
Yeah, we'll start with the Thursday night game. That was definitely a great, showcase, a great kickoff into the NFL. Came down to the wire. Unfortunately, Isaiah Likely just has too big of a shoe size, and they couldn't squeak out a win for that. Um, but man, that was an electric game to watch. Kind of seeing Isaiah Likely's breakout, and on the flip side, the Chiefs with Xavier Worthy having a great game. It's a little worrying for those fantasy owners with Mark Andrews, but besides that, those were two great players for that Thursday night game.
So, funny enough, I do think they had incredible performances. I also don't think it's any reason to panic if you own any of the other Chiefs receivers or if you own Mark Andrews in fantasy. Mark Andrews has historically sucked against the Chiefs. Like, never had a good game ever against the Chiefs. And he's coming off injury. So I think he did run a lot of routes, but they were doubling him on basically every offense or
Mm-hmm.
every defensive snap. So I do think that Mark Andrews will still have his tight end one in the Ravens offense, but Isaiah Likely is becoming that healthy option for when Mark Andrews decides to call it quits, and I think that
Yeah.
the Ravens would do well to keep him around. And then Xavier Worthy, I mean, he had his 2 touchdowns on 3 touches, so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like that's sustainable. It was a blown coverage, a jet sweep, and then one other catch. But very fun players and very fun game to watch for sure. I did see somebody post that it would have been a touchdown if it was Deion Sanders catching it instead of Isaiah Likely. I don't know if you know about his
Yeah, the
missing
missing
toes.
toe.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good one. Yeah, I think also credit to Isaiah Likely. That final, goal line drive that they were at, he took a hard landing, and
uh
that
huh,
looked like, oh man, he's out, and then he just play later, steps right back up, is targeted and nearly gets it. Like it was
yeah,
that would have been an insane like 4 play stretch for. I mean that whole drive actually, that whole we're gonna go down and win it drive for them. He was the guy. He was getting targeted on those out routes and just picking up easy first downs, and then he was making big plays.
yeah. And I texted you during the game. I was like, "No, Isaiah Likely's down." And then like 2 plays later, I was like, "Oh, he's back." And that was the final play of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you were a couple of seconds behind me watching it, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, he's back on the field." And that's as I was watching him catch
Mm-hmm.
that touchdown, and I was like, "Oh, it's more than that." That would have been such an electric end. An overtime game would have been crazy.
Yeah, crazy for kickoffs
But
game.
yeah, yeah. Do we have anything to talk about with the Friday night game, or do you want to? I mean, the Jordan Love injury obviously sucks, and
I didn't watch it because I don't have Peacock and I'm not gonna buy into
true, forgot
capitalism.
about that.
So yeah, you could talk
Yeah.
about it, but
Uh, I don't know. The Jordan Love injury just kind of sucks, but
yeah,
that
right at the end.
hey, they looked fine. They looked fine up until then, and the Eagles looked a little rough, but they started putting things together towards the end. Obviously, they won the game, um, and I am excited to see Malik Willis play. Unironically, I'd like to see him orchestrate an offense and get some rushing yards. Be a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of run plays. I'm sure if they continue spearheading with
Josh
him.
Jacobs fantasy owners. All right.
I froze up for a second there.
Yeah. Get into the Sunday games then.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Then into the Sunday games, we had the Patriots upsetting the Bengals. That was something that I mentioned could happen. I actually wasn't able to catch that game. Do you know if Jamar Chase just wasn't running a lot of routes because he was still sitting out for part of the game,
He
or
was out
was
there.
he
He was out there. He
just
was
getting
just
locked up
not
by
getting.
Gonzo?
Yeah, he was just not getting
Okay,
open. Um,
that's what's up. Shout out my
I
boy Gonzo.
I think I had sent you a tweet not too long ago today, but yeah, basically he was running routes out there, and anytime Gonzo was on him, he was not making. He was getting targeted very little, and he was not getting a lot of production off of those. Um, so yeah,
It's
he
like,
as a whole, the Bengals just felt like they didn't have an identity. Like,
yeah, and that kind of makes sense because you've got Jamar Chase holding out of training camp and preseason because he
mm-hmm,
wants a new contract, and then all of a sudden, right before the game, like he probably missed several practices this week as well. He suited up
mm-hmm,
for like one of them, and then you've also got T. Higgins who wanted a new contract or to be traded during the offseason. So it's just not it's trouble in paradise where you're actually missing your best players and they are not
yeah,
around, so you're struggling a little bit without them, and it's unfortunate, but this is what happens. We'll get into some of the overreactions from the happenings of this week early later, but I don't think that that's
a
telling of
long
either
term worry.
team. I think it's
Okay.
I think it's just a unfortunate timing for both of them.
Yeah, I think the
Well,
Bengals
fortunate
kind of
timing for the Patriots.
going in, Jamar, very little practice, no T. Higgins, no longer have Joe Mixon on the roster. Just a lot of
Yeah.
offensive change for that team. Their offensive coordinator is now the coach of the Titans. So they, having that situation and then going against a Patriots defense was not really going to be a strong win for them. It was always going to be a close win. It just wasn't a win at all this week. So we'll
Yeah.
see if
I
they
do
do. putting it together better with actually, the wide receivers coming back hopefully next week.
Yeah, as a Patriots fan, I'm very happy to see that their defense hasn't really taken a step back too much. If they have taken a step back, it's a small one. I was a little worried that losing the greatest defensive mind of all time would affect us, but Gerard Mayo was the one that was executing that or implementing that scheme for the past few years. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
like they didn't have a named defensive coordinator, but him being in the succession plan kind of tells me that he was basically their defensive coordinator. He played that role without getting that title.
Yeah.
And I am also wondering if that's because they didn't want him signed to another team because he was doing so well. So they didn't want some other team to be like, oh, he's implementing that system. Let's grab him and have him be our head coach or whatever.
Yeah. Have him implement the system here.
Yeah, and then take over. And he's done fine so far. Obviously, the offense looked rough, but kind of a theme of this weekend was that offenses just looked rough. None of the
Oh, yeah.
passing offenses were really there. Everybody had low passing numbers. Gardner Minshew was like top 5 in yardage,
Yeah, I
which is
believe
just crazy
the
to say.
average across the league was like 185 yards thrown
Yeah,
per team, and it's like that's not very great. I mean, Baker Mayfield was definitely up there on his
yeah, for sure.
passing yardage. And while we're talking about low passing yardage, Caleb Williams' debut, and he was getting ate alive by the Titans D line.
Yeah, yeah,
The protection wasn't holding up. He was running for his life, and if he wasn't throwing it away, he was taking a big sack, or just he had a couple plays where there was like, oh, there's what we saw. There's the flash that we saw during the preseason, but it's a lot, more intricate defenses he's facing this time around. So he's gonna have his growing pains, and I'm shocked that they won that game. I was
yeah.
kind of like half watching it because I was like, oh, the Titans have such a huge lead. All right, Titans are gonna walk away with this, and then Will Levis threw a pick, did it hit a nasty post, and just kind of watched the game get away from him, and that was unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not too mad about it. Obviously, I picked the Bears to win it, so I'm
Yeah,
not mad that they won it. But I definitely thought that Caleb Williams would do much better, and I don't think there's any reason to panic on him. I think it's just he's a rookie quarterback. He's not a seasoned veteran. As much as you want him to come in and be the a top 5 quarterback in the league, I don't think that was a reasonable expectation. And I don't know, but let's you know what we can talk about his the former Bears quarterback Justin Fields and his wonderful win in
oh
Pittsburgh.
Lord.
Both of them kind of had similar games where they didn't really score any touchdowns. Actually, it's not they didn't really score. They didn't score a single touchdown. Neither of those offenses did.
Yeah, and
But hey, Chris
both came away with the
Boswell,
wins. Yeah.
they did. 18-point 6 field goal win for the Steelers.
Oh Lord. I'm pulling up the box score of that game right now. It
Kirk
was
Cousins looked awful, man.
horrible. Yeah, it was. I was wanting so much more, and it's just like,
He looked like he wasn't fully healed or anywhere close to it.
yeah, like he just trotted out there because the expectation was for him to trot out there. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if he is injured. If he was, I mean, why not go to your succession plan that you spent the eighth
Yeah.
overall pick on? But so for that reason, I would hope he does. But when your leading receiver is your running back in receptions, uh, i.e., Aaron Rodgers, like it's a rough look when you got your running back getting so many dump offs and there's not so much. I'm not gonna say that no one was open for him. It was just like very quick to check down, and I feel like part of that was kind of that fear of getting hit.
He
That Aaron
wasn't moving in the
Rodgers,
pocket either.
yeah, Aaron Rodgers was speaking on like being afraid of being hit in his opening, game back after his tear, and
Yeah.
I'm sure Kirk suffered from the same thing. I just hope that mentally they can get better, and if he's physically still not doing great, then he'll get better there, and they'll progress throughout the season and actually be contenders, and that this isn't so much of a taste of the what it's going to be like. 2 interceptions, 1 TD for Kirk isn't great, and not really any of those offensive weapons getting huge production
He
out of
just
him.
he wasn't moving in the pocket and he wasn't putting any weight on any on Like he wasn't leaning into any of his throws. He wasn't getting any power behind it. He just wasn't playing a technically sound game, and it showed. If you watch some of the throws that he made that were just like underthrown, or like a 5 yard hitch that he couldn't hit his receiver on,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you're an NFL quarterback. You're getting paid like getting paid Daniel Jones money, unfortunately, to go out there and play, and you're not able to play, and you just look at that and you're like, man. But yeah, you got a couple of things here if you want to start getting into them.
Yeah. The Browns, man, I
You're
know that we were
welcome.
like, yeah. You went ahead. You reminded me. I'm not ever gonna root for the Browns, and I went ahead and I picked the Cowboys in the pick'ems, and then the Cowboys won, and I am so happy that Deshaun Watson continues to look atrocious. Um, the Cowboys, I mean, they looked really good. They kind of slowed down as the game went on. I thought they were really gonna just run away with it and bury the Browns, but the Browns defense is still definitely good. Zeke looked really good, and CD got involved
Yeah,
very fast. Like,
yeah. Zeke looked back to, like, I don't know about
form.
prime, but he was getting back towards that for sure. He hurt apparently. I didn't see the actual play, but apparently he attempted a hurdle on the first drive.
Yes, and I was like, oh, who's number 15 for them? Who's trying? Zeke. I was losing. I was like,
Zeke.
I was like, what is this? What is happening? Zeke shouldn't be attempting hurdles from like even 4 years ago. He shouldn't have been trying to attempt a hurdle, but now he is. Like,
Yeah,
they looked really good. The Browns. I'm very very glad that Deshaun Fraudson just looked like that. He was horrible, and
yeah,
you know I will always smile at that. I love
yeah,
some Deshaun slander, and I love seeing it all over the timeline.
yeah. Then we had Sunday Night Football. That was a hell of a game. Lions took it to overtime on them. And then they said, "Hey, David, run."
Yeah,
Monty went, "Gotcha, coach,"
aye
and
aye, Captain.
yeah, run the damn football,
Yeah,
and that's
the
exactly what happened.
that game was stressful to watch because they get up big and then they start losing that lead, and it's like, okay, so this is shades of NFC Championship game. All right, this is fun. Uh, to me, I'm not super worried about like the quality of the team. I'm seeing like some people be like, oh well, we're not going to make it to the Super Bowl playing like that. The Rams are a great team, and
Yeah,
offensively, the Rams scheme everything up so well. So even without Puka Nakua, yeah, Cooper Cup, remember that guy? He's
yeah.
great. Like,
And Demarcus Robinson was great too. And
oh
like
yeah, he was
their
making
backup
plays.
receivers, you can put anybody and say, "Hey, go find open space." And as long as you've taught them how to find that open space, they're going to be successful. Their offense runs on playmakers that aren't necessarily super athletic, and if you can scheme up an offense like that, you're going to be successful, and that's exactly what Sean McVay does.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not gonna say Demarcus Robinson's unathletic. He's pretty good,
No,
but
that I'm not what I
but
was saying at all, but
but yeah, no, he schemes it up very well. The motions always give the tell on what the defense is doing, and they do it every single play. So yeah, he was gonna know just sit in the zone, and then if you run man, he knows okay, well I have this man beating route, and Stafford
yeah,
is just that good. They weren't exactly throwing it all over the field like they did in the playoffs last year because our DBs are better. I'm very happy our DBs are better. I really liked what I saw from Terrian, despite his couple of holds. Carlton Davis was balling. Brian Branch, he was missing some tackles, but he was also making some crazy diving deflections. So
yeah,
I think for both teams, like the Rams, they lost, but they put together a great game, considering the fact that they had no offensive line.
yeah.
They were down
They
to
will
like their
continue to
fourth
have no
tackle,
line.
and that's just rough. Like they're gonna
Yeah,
manage to make these games close and competitive without an offensive line. Then I think that their defense showed great things against our offense, and that Rams fans should definitely be happy going forward because hopefully you get some more healthy pieces back in that offensive line, and you put it together. So I'm
for sure.
really happy with the end result of the game. I was very unhappy with the second half of that game, but it came together. And yeah, David Montgomery really just put his nose put his head down and went to work for that offensive OT drive.
Yeah. Then we get into Monday Night Football where the 49ers just, you can put anybody behind that offensive line and they're going to succeed. It's not necessarily Christian McCaffrey being so good at running the ball. Obviously, he's an amazing player.
Yeah.
But Jordan Mason, undrafted free agent from a couple of years back, they throw him out there. He is second in the league in rushing yards after week one.
Yeah.
So
I think the
that's,
way
I
to
mean,
categorize it is that like CMC is not important to the 49ers run game, but if the 49ers are running the ball from their side of the field, CMC can make a run a touchdown. Like he's going to
yeah.
make the explosive part of it, but the Niners run game, their run blocking is explosive by itself. So anyone can step into the role and make, you know, what was his average yards per carry? Because I know he was over like 100 and it
He
was
had
something crazy.
147 yards on 28 attempts.
Yeah. So
It was 5.3
that's
carry.
great, high end production as an offensive line. And Christian McCaffrey might have not had, that same level playing with his issue. So go ahead and give anybody else the ball because it's a nice revolving door to have. The fact that their O line is always that great. So yeah, we don't need you out there, Christian. We don't need you to hurt yourself out there. Go ahead and put Jordan Mason in and watch him get his bread.
Yeah, I really wanted to see Isaac Garendo come in because he had just an insanely impressive combine, and I wanted to see him on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, they went ahead and put him out there for one play and called a timeout before that play was run. And Jordan Mason came right back in and ran the ball.
Oh, how
I
rude.
saw him come out of the field for one play, and I was like, it's Garendo time. Oh, my God. And then they tried to get the Jets to jump and then call the timeout. And I was like, ruining the fun. But yeah, it's a crazy O-line. The 49ers are a talented team. And I'm not going to get into it yet. I think this is for later in the season. But I wonder if they are going to be willing to pay Brock Purdy a stupid contract, or if they would rather take their chances with another just
Game
quarterback on
manager.
a rookie deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I do think Brock Purdy's good at being a game manager, but I also think you can find other good game managers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't, but
I think later in the year, it's definitely a question to have, depending on any possible injuries that would come, because
yeah,
right now his price point is high, but
yeah,
with the injury he had 2 seasons ago, and he's been a little bit banged up for them. If he gets banged up this year, I think it drops his number a lot, and I'm not so sure that's something his agents would really take because he has shown to be a lot better than his like $75,000 he makes a year.
yeah. And then the Jets, the Jets gonna Jets. Unfortunately for them, I was so happy to see that they would. Aaron Rodgers looked fine. It's just that everybody else did not. Their offensive line wasn't great, and their defensive line wasn't great, and their defense as a whole wasn't great. Sauce Gardner got benched for a little bit, and he like came out of a play looking a little banged up, went to the sideline, was out for like 2 or 3 plays. Then they went down to the sideline reporter, and she was like, yeah, as far as they've told me, there is no injury issue with Sauce Gardner. That is not why he's on the sideline. And people are talking about it being because of bad tackling, which is what Sauce Gardner fans were ripping Tariq Woolen for when he got benched for bad tackling. So that's nice to see as a
No
Rick Woolen
karma.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The turnovers for the Jets was like it happened early on, and I think really set them back for even trying to be competitive in the game against a juggernaut of the 49ers.
So week one is for overreactions. We've been without football, without real football for the better part of the year, and we are always looking to see new things and to see people say crazy stuff for fun on the internet. So I have, from watching the games and from seeing the stat lines and from also just scrolling through Twitter, I've compiled some things that I consider to be either overreactions or not overreactions, just general reactions from this slate of games this weekend. And I'm going to read some of them out. and I'm going to have you, Elijah, tell me what you think. If you think it's an overreaction, if you think it's justified, or if you think it's an underreaction, it's actually worse than what I'm saying.
Overreaction, justified, and what was that last one?
Underreaction, as in like I say something and you're like, no, it's so much worse than that.
All right,
Like if
way
I say a
worse.
team's bad, if I say this team is bad, and you're like, oh no, I think they're the worst team in the league, instead of
Okay, yeah,
yeah,
I like that. All right, I'm gonna treat it like I'm in Gladiator with the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
deciding thumb.
Anyways, so overreaction number one: Kirk Cousins might not finish out the year as the Falcons QB1.
Uh, I'm gonna say that that is an overreaction. There's a
Okay.
such thing as money in the NFL, and a little thing called a contract and some guarantees that
Yeah,
really handcuff teams to players. Cough, cough. Deshaun Watson still starting. Um, so I
I
think Kirk
see that
Cousins does
point.
finish it off.
I see that point, and I raise you that they have a QB on a rookie contract. So contract really isn't a problem for them. If they've got this amount of money in the QB room, does it really matter who's starting if you've only got one QB contract in the QB room?
I'll tell you what. If you're indicating like just benching them for the year, valid. If you are saying they should cut him and take his dead cap, I don't think his
No, no,
dead
no, no.
cap is
They
low
would
enough.
never
Okay.
cut him to. No, no, no.
Okay.
They would never do that. I'm saying, do you think he gets benched at some
Okay.
point in the season? And I'm not saying this was his only game he's touching. They're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
to
yeah.
start him next week. They're probably going to start him for the first four.
Okay.
But
So
they've kind of got some tough
week
games coming up.
18, do they have him as
No,
their
no, no, no.
okay.
I'm saying like week 12. I think by week 12, if they're still starting him, they've kind of decided that he's going to be their starter.
I think it's an overreaction. I think he's going to be the starter for the full year. Because it's game one of his first year with the team, and they have a brand new whole system, coaching, everything. So
Okay.
that's where I sit. Overreaction
I was, I think
on.
I personally, I don't think it's an overreaction. I think that there is a chance if he still looks rough after a few other games that he's very liable to be benched because you don't invest a pick that high in a quarterback that old and not plan to have them start within the next couple of years. I don't think that they plan on keeping Kirk for his whole contract. They have the 2 year out, and I think they will absolutely take it.
I have something to double back to on that, but I want to get
Okay.
through some more of these overreactions before I say anything.
All right. This one I'm confident is an overreaction, but we'll see how you feel about it. Bryce Young is doomed, and the Panthers are in for a sub 4-win season again. I think the second part of that, fair.
Yeah,
But I
second part
think the
was
first
really
part of
leaning
that,
that
slight
fair
overreaction.
part. I think the Bryce Young is doomed is fair. If you think doomed in the
Okay.
short term of like doomed for the season, yeah, I could see
Career.
him
Career over.
career doomed. Overreaction. I don't agree with
Okay.
that. I think that you at least got to get through a year 3 till we can claim, yeah, he's done for the league. He's a Sam Darnold.
See,
Ship him off. But
I see that and I raise you Josh Rosen, but we'll see how that goes.
I'll raise you.
Because Josh
It
Rosen
was
was
Josh
1 year
Rosen.
and they said, Kyler Murray, it's you. Yeah, that's fair. All right. All right, next overreaction. The Patriots might just be legit on defense and could win more than 6 games this year.
Don't think that's an overreaction at all. I think that
No?
they can win 6 games. I can't recall. Who do you know, if you do know, what division y'all play outside of y'all's division? Like, what's the other AFC? Because if y'all play like the West, then tough. But I think y'all like play like the South. Stand a chance.
We play. Oh God, we play the NFC West, and then we
Ooh.
play the South. Yeah,
Okay, so you said over
we also.
6 wins.
Hey, it's close. It's
I'm a-
cutting it. I see.
I
You
have to
think
shift
that's
that.
you think it's okay? They could win 6 games, but you're not pushing it to 8. You don't think there'll
I
be like
yeah.
a chance at a wild card team? No.
I'm not gonna
Okay.
push it much further
There, I
than the
will say.
6 because I was originally like, no, I think they
Okay.
could win way more based on that defense, and if they continue to kind of have the offense focus on the run like they did.
Yeah. Just
But
play a safe offense.
yeah, but I'm not gonna push it with knowing the opponents you're gonna have to be facing this year. That's tough.
Yeah. I'm not delusional. Our offense sucked, but our offense was gonna suck. And the problem is, the past couple years, the offense has not just sucked, it's sucked and given the ball away. And our defense has been completely locked down, beautiful, one of the best defenses in the league. And if our offense was just any little bit better last year, we probably would have been a playoff team. And I will continue to maintain that. I think I talked about it during the offseason at some point, where the Patriots had so many games that were within one score because their defense is so damn good that if their offense is just any less atrocious than last year, they're a solid team. And I think that is justified to say. They'll have some tough games. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team this year, but
Yeah,
I think
you're
that they
building
can
for it. I mean, hey, you didn't
they can
bench
hold their
Drake
own
May
against
for
good
no reason,
teams.
right?
Yeah.
You gotta build to it. But we're
Yeah.
hitting that one with a hard fair. So
Okay. Shout out Matt. Bo Nix is not the answer.
I
Did
don't
you
know.
see the passing chart, or
I,
did you?
I sent you the passing chart.
You sent me the passing chart. That's right.
I think that it's an overreaction because I think that's their offense. I honestly do. I think that's just how
Okay.
they. If you look at Russ's passing charts from last year,
Yeah.
Russ
They also
has
just
that
drafted a guy
propensity
that.
to not throw at the middle. So there's that thing. And Bo Nix historically does this. So I think
Yeah.
they're just operating the offense as usual. It just happens to be a bad offense. I don't think it's
It just
a Bo
happened to be
Nix
like
fault.
20 for 50 throwing the
Yeah.
ball. Like, it was just a rough game from him, man. All right. Next up, I've got 4 more.
Nice.
Anthony Richardson could lead the Colts to a playoff spot. I know you're pretty high on AR, so I don't think you're going to
Not
think
an
that's an
overreaction.
overreaction at all. You're
Not at
like,
all.
yeah, I think he's going to be the 1 seed. No. MVP season for him. He
Yeah,
completed
come on.
9 passes for 212 yards. It's man.
Kurt Benkert, analyze that.
Kurt Benkert with your -1 career passing yards. Analyze that. Analyze 9 for 212, bud.
It's something he's gonna work towards. I don't think they're gonna win a whole stretch of games and then lose a whole stretch of games and be like, yeah, thanks to the great start of the season, they made it into the playoffs. I think it's something that would be coming down to the wire there, but it could happen, and I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
saying it can't.
I do think that he is. I mean, before the season, the thing that was going around is Anthony Richardson's only started 17 games from high school to now. Like he is very inexperienced, and it showed.
Raw. Yep.
He's got every single tool in the book.
Is that where you keep your tools?
Anyways, he's got every single tool in his bag, but he just doesn't have the experience and the experience.
The experience
He
and the
just
reps
doesn't have
and
it
the
all put together yet.
experience.
He'll get it put together, but he just doesn't have it all yet. And I think that him looking this good for like right now, like that throw to Ashton Doolin over the middle, oh my god. Like that's picked off in Madden every
Did
time
you-
you try it.
Did you see the overhead cam from the 60
Yes.
yard? That was
Dude,
was
he
a
didn't
beauty.
step into it.
Yeah, he was like,
flicked it. For the Browns, it's time to look at Jameis Winston. And I mean like yesterday.
I agree with that. That's not an overreaction. They can't afford to not have Deshaun Watson. But man, he's losing you games. Just put in somebody else.
Yeah.
Just, rock with backups
So-
for, the next 4 years or however much is left on his deal. Just let it happen,
I kept seeing some like videos on, is it time to panic on these fantasy football players after week 1? And everybody's saying Amari Cooper, yes, panic. He's not going to get touches in this offense. And I'm like, guys, I would get it if Deshaun was like mediocre to bad, then it's time to worry. But he's so bad he's gonna get fucking benched. And then Black Joe Flacco is gonna come in and he's gonna be chucking that thing and he's gonna get Amari Cooper all of his yards back.
Joe
It's gonna
Flacco
be
with a
fine.
big nose and a mustache and
Joe
glasses.
Blacko.
Oh man,
Jameis Winston is just Joe Flacco reincarnated.
Joe.
He's the same player. He's the Joe Blacko is crazy. Okay.
Oh, right.
Anywho,
We got two more.
last one.
Okay, one more.
Last one. This one's the last one. The Jets are cursed. They will never see success.
Fair.
Fair.
This is
Okay, cool.
This
I
is
agree.
a real hard attempt at them to be good. And Robert Saleh, man, they will stop the run when they want to stop the run. They just didn't want to. So,
Yeah, when do you not want to stop the run? What are we doing? What are we talking about, Robert?
oh,
Bobby, what's going on?
Bobby, talk to me, man.
All right, let's get into the pick'ems. Roll the intro. So, all right, into pick'ems Thursday night matchup, a good one, a divisional one, Bills Dolphins. I've got the Dolphins in this one at home. Still early in the year, so weather's not affecting them yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna match that. I'm also going Dolphins at home. I did, Bills played a great game. I doubted the Bills last week. Still gonna do it. The Dolphins are just productive and they're playing at home, so I like their odds.
Yep. On to the Raiders going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I've got the Ravens at home in this one in a pretty easy matchup.
Yeah,
I
can
don't
agree
have
with
much
that.
else to say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, there's not.
the Ravens showed so much against the Chiefs. Raiders are not the Chiefs. The Ravens are hopefully, don't make me eat my words, gonna stop. Now, next up is the Chargers at the Panthers. Now, so far we've picked two home teams. Will we pick a third? I'm not going
Hell
to.
no.
Definitely Chargers for me in this one.
Yep, me too. I think that despite the losses on offense for the Chargers, they're still a much better team than the Panthers. I don't think many teams are worse. I think when the Panthers play the Giants, that's when I'll have my struggle to pick a team, but not right now. Right now it's not that time. Then we got the Saints coming down to Dallas playing the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys in that one. I think the Saints did well. I think they were also playing the Panthers, so it's hard to do poorly against a team that is proven to still be bad.
Yeah, I think your Saints defense against the Panthers is going to look a lot different than the production against the Cowboys. And the Cowboys showed that they have a great defense, so I don't think they'll be dropping as many points as they did on the Panthers. So Cowboys here as well, the home team again going with. And onto the Buccaneers at Lions, another home game for the Lions. The stadium was rocking. This is another wild card, or was it a wild card? It's another playoff rematch for the Lions at home. I'm picking Lions here. Although the Buccaneers and Baker did show off, they showed off against the Commanders. So,
Yeah, I think Lions DBs are better than Commanders DBs. They used their first round pick on Terry and Arnold, second round on Ennis Rakestraw. And unfortunately, Rakestraw sold a great downed punt opportunity. But outside of that, their DBs are better than they were last year, and I don't think the Bucs are going to do exactly what they did to the Commanders against the Lions. I'm also taking the Lions here.
nice.
And then we head down to Green Bay, over
Across.
across the pond to Green Bay, across the lake, whatever we want to call it. Colts heading into Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers sans Jordan Love. I will be taking the Colts in this one. I think Anthony Richardson is going to have himself a hell of a game, and I think the Packers might struggle with Malik Willis.
Yeah, I'm agree with everything you just said. The Packers are gonna need to come up with a brand new identity without Jordan Love being the game manager for them. So Colts, I think, as I said, AR to the moon. That's where he likes to throw most of his balls. So definitely going to be leaning him here. And then next up with the Browns at Jaguars. I was kind of shocked by the Jaguars. I expected them to come out a little more flat than they did. And they came out swinging. And I have no faith in Deshaun Watson. I think, honestly, I may never pick the Browns to win for the rest of the season. We'll have to see. Depends if Jameis goes in. But I'm going to go Jaguars here.
You might want to rethink that. They play the Giants at home next week, so I think you'll be picking them then. But
We'll see.
I look at this game and I see the Browns defense and I get scared for the Jaguars. And so I'm actually taking the Browns in this one, unfortunately. I don't think it's going to be the Browns offense doing anything. I think it is going to be entirely the Jaguars offense being unable to do very much against the Browns defense and Miles
That's
Garrett, and
very
I
fair.
just don't see too much happening. I was high on the Jaguars coming into this season, not quite as high as I was on them last season. And in that first game, they kind of showed me that that was correct, that I shouldn't be super high on them this year, but that they can still be a good team. I think that's a pretty big toss up. There's a very good chance they win it, and that's what decides the Pick'ems record for this week. But I'm going to just go ahead and stick with my gut and go with the Browns. Then we head to Minnesota, where the 49ers are coming into town to crush the Vikings, and I believe they will do just that.
Yep. Um, I don't know any news on CMC, so I don't know if he'll be back, but clearly it doesn't really matter. So 49ers here all the way.
Yep.
And next up, we have the Seahawks going into Foxborough with the Patriots. And, I'm not huge on the Seahawks. Um, of course, their defense was going to do good against the Broncos, who had that passing chart. Um, and the Patriots are not that far removed from being a top, you know, defense that I think could stop the Seahawks. However, I'm still going to lean Seahawks because I'm going to lean towards a team that I think can win with their offense and not their defense. And the Seahawks to me are the team that could make a 2 minute drill and win.
Yeah, I think that the Bengals offense was really flat, and that's what helped the Patriots defense look so good. Also, the Patriots defense is just good, but
Yeah.
I don't think that their offense is much better than the Seahawks defense. I think that the Seahawks defense is going to show out in this one. I think that the Seahawks defense is better than the Bengals defense, so they'll probably look a little bit nicer there. So I will also, unfortunately, be picking against my Patriots here at home. Then getting into the game in Tennessee, Jets taking on the Titans. I think the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, have a bounce back in this one. They obviously lost against the 49ers, one of the better teams in the league, but Brees Hall looked solid, and the 49ers defense looked so damn good, and the Jets were still able to put up some points on them. So I think against the Titans, a weaker team, they'll be fine.
I'm going to run the opposite boat. The Titans showed that they have a great D line and that their defensive coordinator is going to get pressure. Um, the Jets have a quarterback that has shown to be mobile, but is also a little scared to be mobile. And so I think that the Titans might be able to exploit that. I also picked against the Titans last week and I felt bad, so I'm going to get some retribution, pick the Titans this week.
Yeah.
Next up, I think I had mentioned that we should probably get like some monikers. We can say this is going to be game of the week. This is going to be the garbage fire of the week. This is the garbage fire of the week. We have the Giants at the Commanders. Only saving grace for this is that there's a rookie quarterback starting for one of these teams. That's why you would tune in. That's why you turn on your TV. And I think that the Commanders will beat the Giants because it's the Giants.
Yeah. I think that what you said about the Browns, I will be saying about the Giants. I will never pick for them. I think they are going to go defeated. So I don't think that there's any saving graces there. I was going to refer to it somewhat hatingly as the shit show of the week, not necessarily the garbage fire, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm taking Commanders in this shit show at home. Jaden Daniels, he ran the ball a lot. We'll see if he does it again against a weaker defense. And then heading to Glendale, Arizona, where the Rams are taking on the Cardinals. I love the Cardinals. I'm huge on them. I'm still taking the Rams over them this week. I think Cup is back. I think that the team is good. I also think that, I don't know if I want to call it upset watch because I don't know if the Cardinals winning would really be an upset. But I think there's a chance the Cardinals do take this one with the injuries on the Rams O-line and the Cardinals offense kind of looking a bit flat last week. They didn't have as many passing yards as I thought they would. Trey McBride didn't catch as many passes as I thought he would. Marvin Harrison only had his one catch. So I think that they'll make a point to get their more talented playmakers the ball, and I think that they could pull this one out. But I'm still gonna go ahead and say the Rams in this one.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch a whole lot of the Cardinals game, so obviously watching the primetime game with the Rams, I know a lot more about what the Rams will come to show. and I'm going to pick the Rams here. I think the Cardinals, the O-line, as you mentioned, is a weak spot, and it is going to be terrifying. However, I think that the Rams offensively, they don't, even without an offensive line, he gets the ball out fast. So they're going to have the opportunity to just keep Stafford clean, basically, and not really have to worry too much about that. So I'm hoping that the Rams come away with this one. Then onto the Steelers Broncos. Man, okay, we got a
Can we
runner
have
up.
two shit shows?
I was like, we got a runner up for shit show of the week. It's at home for the Broncos. They didn't have touchdown on offense. How can you pick them to win? But how can I not? I
Justin
don't.
Fields, buddy. It's Justin Fields. It's Justin Fields. Root for Justin. Bear Leavers.
Fine, the beer lever in me took over. I'm picking the Steelers.
I'm matching you there, picking the Steelers over the Broncos.
It would have been so funny
Matt,
if you
I'm
said
sorry.
I'm not doing that.
Nah, Matt, I'm sorry. Broncos defense is good. I think the Steelers defense is also really good, and Bo Nix performed poorly against a solid defense in the Seahawks. I think the Steelers defense is better than the Seahawks, and they're going to have another rough game. The rookie's going to throw some picks, and I think that's going to be the unfortunate truth for Broncos fans, like Matt.
Sorry, Matt.
And then into Kansas City, where the Bengals are taking on the Chiefs. I got the Chiefs in this one. I don't think it's, I think it's going to be a good game. I think the Bengals are going to be better than last week, but I also don't think that the Bengals are going to be that good, and the Chiefs are. So
I will match your pick with the Chiefs here to win. However, I don't think they air it out as much as they did against the Ravens. I think they kind of Pacheco really pounds the rock in this one. So keep your eyes open for that. See if I'm correct with that random pick out of nowhere, that random assertion. Next up is Bears at Texans. No offensive touchdown. How can I pick them to win? Bear lever. I'm not doing it again. Texans is my pick this week.
it's funny. We picked we used Bear Lever on the offense with no touchdowns. That was not the Bears. Instead of the offense with no touchdowns, that was the Bears. Yeah, I'm matching you with the Texans there. Definitely a better team than the Bears. Nico Collins went nuclear, and I think he will continue to do so. And then Joe Mixon also was nuts, and I think he'll continue to be nuts. So Bears kind of questionable defense, defensive line. So I think that Texans will have no problems with them. And then into Philly for Monday night, Falcons at Eagles. I don't believe in the Falcons anymore now. I won't believe in them until I see them succeed, until I see Kirk Cousins actually play like he's an NFL quarterback and not like he is a senior at the old man center and trying to avoid tearing his Achilles by taking one step in the wrong direction. So
he's really just thinking about bingo right now. Every snap, he's thinking about bingo.
Tonight I think I'll hope for a B.
B6.
Anywho, and then I don't know if it's clear enough. I'm taking the Eagles in that one. I think that at home, Philly gonna run up the score a little bit on the Falcons.
Yeah, I'll match that pick. I got burned. I locked you last week and you failed me, Kirk Cousins. How could you? I feel personally attacked by your failure to produce touchdowns that outnumbered your interceptions. So,
Yep.
Eagles there. Now into locks of the week.
Do we want to get into the game of the week first?
Ooh, true. We'll name game of the week.
I think TNF. I think Thursday Night Football is going to be our game of the week. Bills at Dolphins.
Bills at Dolphins. It's divisional. It's got all of that hype there. I can definitely. I think I agree with that fully. Although the Rams Cardinals also has that same vibe. It's not prime time, so I think I'll just go with your pick there. I can agree with that over the Rams Cardinals.
I think Rams Cardinals is going to be good. I don't think it's going to be quite as good, but
yeah,
that's just me. I think that the Bills and Dolphins are two of the top teams in the AFC, and I think the Rams and Cardinals are two of the good teams in the NFC, but not necessarily competing for
playoff spots.
One seed. I think they're. Unfortunately, I also don't know if they're the best team in their division at this point.
True.
So, Bills and Dolphins are definitely being like, all right, we're the number one team in the AFC East. No, we are.
All
But
right.
anywho, we'll get into
Yep.
locks. I didn't pre-pick a lock for
Yep.
the first time in a very long time,
Nice.
but I'm gonna. You know what? I don't think there's gonna be another time I can confidently lock the Commanders, so I'm gonna go ahead and lock
You
the
know,
goddamn Commanders over the Giants.
okay. See, now that throws me into question
You can
because
pick the same team as me.
I know
There's
I
no
can
rules
pick the
against
same
that.
team as you, but would the universe be like, haha, wrong?
It's the Giants.
It's the Giants and the Commanders. All right. Where did they both draft last season?
Three and
Pretty damn
six,
high.
2 and 6.
So that was my go-to. And now I have to review other options because I feel like if we both pick them as locks, they're just gonna lose.
I was thinking Ravens Raiders. That was going to be my lock until
There's
I saw
Ravens,
the
Raiders, there's
Giants.
Chargers, Panthers as other
Yeah.
options. I think with your idea of we have to save the good teams for last, I don't want to go Ravens and Chargers over Panthers. I don't want to just bully the Panthers, you know.
Bully
So
them.
I'll go I'll go Chargers over Panthers
Ah.
because if one of us is wrong, if the Giants manage this, then we're tied and I'm still not down in lock. So the little bit of strategy for the lock of the week
Okay,
this
okay,
week.
okay.
So locking the Chargers.
But what if the Panthers
mark
win?
That, mark. Well, I cry. Okay.
All
I
right,
look at my lock record and I weep. That's what I do.
cool. I think that just about does it for us today. This fine episode dos of a lot. 23, I think, is what our last podcast ran for. So
23 or 24,
probably
something like
should
that.
probably get to know that.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. 18 weeks of the year, then we got 4 weeks of playoffs. 22?
22
And then
plus
the post
episode
game.
0.
Yep, plus, yep.
We had we had 0 through 23, so we had 24
We had
episodes.
24
but we got
because
up
we
to
had the
number 20.
post Super Bowl week. Lower.
I just remember the one that had the fin on the title. That was or on the thumbnail. That was 23. I remember that one.
Nice.
Any whoosies. Shout out to everybody who's still watching. You shouldn't be.
Why are
Again,
you
shout
here?
out to our Spotify. I'll have it linked in the description down below. Go ahead and click on that. Follow us there if you prefer to get your podcasts through your ear holes instead of through your eye holes. And I swear to God, I will be uploading them. We
On
episode
time,
1
maybe, hopefully.
got out a little late, but I've got reminders set now, so we got that. We're good. No biggie there. No worries there. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Tell us what you think about our overreactions. If you've got any of your own, we'll respond to them in the comments. And
Baby. Please put them down in the comments.
yeah, talk to us.
Please.
I need interaction.
Alrighty.
All right, and with that, deuces.
Deuces.